You're watching SKST Radio.
Well, welcome to another episode of SKST Radio, and you are tuned into the Grayson Show. And today I am very honored to have Dr. Ron Smith on the show with me today. Oh my gosh! Okay, so I'm so excited about Dr. Ron because we are celebrating his 20th episode with SKST Radio, and it is just amazing that he's our first client that's reached 20 episodes. So we are very excited, and I want to know about this journey, and you know, I want to learn about your show, and I want people to know who you are and what you do. You're someone that need to know them, and they need to know you. So Dr. Ron, welcome to the show.
Well, Cammie, it's been my pleasure just learning from you. You know, when I first came in, I told you that basically I would be your oldest intern.
Yes, this was my intern.
Because I really wanted to learn the podcasting craft from the ground up, and Cammie has been very gracious and being very patient with me in that regards. The journey has been fun. You have given me a platform that I've been wanting to have for a long time. One of the things that my show is called The Talk, by the way, is the conversations that I wish we had. You know, one of the things that we don't do in the African American community is talk about the things that actually are real in life. And I started to talk with what you need to do if you encounter, law enforcement and police. But my main emphasis is finance. We got to get our money right. And,
amen.
And the thing about it is that seem like everybody else community talks about money, but we don't. Right. And what I mean by that is basically if you going to a Filipino community, if they have a business, most of the employees are Filipino. Yeah. And most are the customers are Filipino. And I know that basically I would just give you that example, but normally, you talk about the Jews, and Jews are the ones who actually personify this money thing. And what spurred me is that there's a conversation, matter of fact, I think it's made it on YouTube about this, how this Jewish man say basically how they are successful. And basically one of the main thing they said that basically the money comes into the community, but it doesn't leave out unless it goes to 10 to 11 hands, which means that they support their own business, whether there's a nursery, a school, or a deli, a market, whatever. They make sure that they are, support each other. Right. And one of the things that I would like for us to do is we heard about Tulsa being like the Black Wall Street, and we, all these, matter of fact, I even heard on the radio on the Black News Network, Seneca Village was a thriving Black African American neighborhood, which is now Central Park. So basically, and one of the things that I don't want to digress is basically when we had our own business in our own neighborhood, we supported each other, and we need to get back to that.
Yeah. Well, I think one is we're all over everywhere, right? And so a lot of people turn away from our own people based off of, this customer service. Me personally, if I want to support you, but if I walk in your store and you don't greet me or you're not nice to me, why would I give you my money? Yes. When I can go into the Filipino store, hello, welcome. If I get that, that's going to make me want to spend my money. Yeah. And so it's kind of hard to keep that money in-house. I mean, it's amazing if we could, but then there's another thing, even just having this studio, I see that our African-American people don't want to pay. but we can get anybody else in here and they pay the amount that I want. And I'm not dummying myself down just to, I got this, and I was hoping that my African American people would support me and be there. I gave them the best price, but some of them tend to, that's too much. That's too much. But if you go next door to our neighbor, our Buffy neighbor, or Ken, I should say, because I have Ken next door, you would not see them saying, hey, that's too high.
Right.
They're going to give that man the amount that he asked for the service. Mm-hmm. We give you top service. We bend over backwards for you, and you don't want to give us your money. You want to say we charging too much, or you want to disappear and not pay us, and it's hard. So how do we overcome that, Dr. Ron?
Well, one of the things that I specialize as a financial historian is that personal finance. Because
wait a minute, what is a financial historian? First?
Well,
tell us about that.
A financial historian is basically, we go back and to see what makes the rich people rich. And I can give you basically what really affected us was the slave trade. If you go back to see what the Spaniards and the Portuguese and the United Kingdom was doing, was basically they created corporations, which means they was the first one to actually come together and just say that I'm going to minimize my investment by creating a group. Mm-hmm. And that's the reason why basically they had these explorers to go to different foreign lands and bring back the different fruits and the golds and all this stuff. And basically African Americans can relate to, because basically they used us as part of that cargo. But my point is that historian, let's go back to now. How do the rich really operate? And if you really understand that, they operate totally different from the poor and the middle class.
Yeah.
So one of the things that in a nutshell, because I do want to give some details on that, some strategies for that later in the show, is that poor people think about what they can earn. Mm-hmm. Middle class think about what they can save. Mm-hmm. And the rich think about how they can invest, which what I mean by that, basically, we think about what job gives us the best bang for the buck, so to speak. So when we go to college, we get these certain degrees thinking that basically these things will make us successful. In the middle, which shifts us to the middle class, which means that basically now we're talking about saving for retirement. We're talking about saving for emergency rainy day. And we're talking about maybe we start talking about investments, 401k, which
it's not even worth it. I know.
Well, yes and no, but there's some things. But what the rich think about is that, let's say if I have $1,000, is that what can I do with that $1,000 to make it $10,000?
Right.
And what can I do with this small and dollar amount that I can use the interest and not spend
the actual money,
the principal. Mm-hmm. So basically, what the historians has found out is that this is how these guys become rich. Now, I give you a case in point. Most people think Ford make their money from selling cars, but that's not true.
So how do they make their money?
The majority of their money come from the financing of the automobile.
Oh, yeah.
So basically,
because that's like triple the amount, right?
Well, it's triple the amount, but here's the deal. It's almost like a credit card. I give you a credit card. It's a piece of plastic, right? It don't turn into a money until you use it. Out of where?
Yeah. Out of electronic land.
Out of where? Which means, see, that's what the $1 million question is, that basically they're turning this piece of plastic into money. Mm-hmm. So basically now you have established the amount of credit according to what your your credit score, and you can allow.
Made up stuff, yeah.
So basically they make money out of a piece of plastic.
That's crazy.
So basically, historians say basically we get hung up. In matter of fact, the reason I brought that Ford up because right now they're getting ready to strike because basically what they're saying, the labor people saying that basically we are not getting our fair share from the profits that these companies are making, and I think we need to take a closer look at that because that's true. So basically, historians say find out how people are actually making money. Because basically you think it's on one hand, but no, that's not, it's always from a different angle.
Okay, so I was brought up to think that they say the poor is poor and the rich is richer. Mm-hmm. But also there was another little thing that rich people, they don't really pay for anything. They keep their money. And so how is that possible? Because I know they would go and they would like celebrities, they don't pay for stuff. People want them to come into their store or their shop or their restaurant to help them get business. So therefore you get the movie star, the celebrity or whoever, they get free food, they get free clothes, they get free this. So is that part of how the rich America stay rich?
Well, one of the things that technology has changed the game. That's why you get these $1 million influencers.
Gotcha.
You got people who does makeup. You got people who does, a matter of fact, the guy does mechanic stuff. He does all these things and he gets sponsors. Mm-hmm. So now the sponsors are sponsoring those things. When you said that, I remember when Michael Jackson, they said in the Neverland, they had Pepsi machines all over that you could go in there and get free Pepsi because basically he was one a
spokesperson for Pepsi.
Right.
Yes.
So basically from that,
isn't that where his hair got caught on fire? And
that commercial, yeah.
Yeah.
And basically, a lot of people saying that was a downfall of him using,
skin color stuff.
Well, no, it's more of the medication he was taking.
Oh, gotcha.
And basically, that's what he was saying. Basically, how he was hooked on, prescription meds because of that incident in the accident.
Okay, I understand.
But to answer your question is that basically sponsorships, because Kim Kardashian was wearing certain things. Those sponsors gave her money because she had so many viewers. And the thing about it, once you get over 10 million views, people say, "Oh, well, yeah, I think I want Cammie to wear my pin, and that pin I will, give her money to do that because then I know that people who watch your show is gonna, oh, that's a nice pin. I think I'm gonna buy that."
Right.
Yeah, I give you another case in point. Just happened this weekend. Deion Sanders. This guy made a comment saying that basically that when he talked to adults, he take off his shades and his hat. What Deion Sanders just did is that he has a line of shades. He gave all his football players a part of his shades. From that, all the people who support him out of Colorado and are the alumni, they're gonna probably wear shades today.
Oh, nice.
So basically, not only being rich, but if you're an influencer, you can get things for free.
Yes, exactly. Well, that's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. So, Dr. Ron, your financial tips and the things that you have been bringing to the table has been very educational for me.
Well, thank you.
And so I have learned so much. I've learned if I could have done things differently, I would have, like the investment.
Me too.
The investment in like the real estate and all the stuff like that you've been talking about on the show. I mean, it's very enlightening, and I am so glad that this is something that you felt like our community needed, because you're absolutely right. We need it big time. And so, but before it gets too late, I would like to hand you not one, but 2 awards.
Wow.
So every 10th episode, you get an award. And so this first 10th episode, and now he's at his 20th episode.
Wow.
And so I want to thank you so much for bringing your knowledge, your wealth of knowledge to SKST Radio Podcast. And guys, I mean, this is what it's all about. You know, people that's actually educating our community, people that's out there doing what he does. And so I appreciate you. I mean, God brought you to us, and
Well, thank you so much.
Cannot trade you for the world, you and your wife. And so thank you so much. Now tell us a little bit about your journey of becoming a podcaster with SKST.
Well, start from scratch, and basically, this is a microphone. It came really just as basic as that. Think about it. I started doing being a blogger, and I always wanted to be in a podcaster. So basically, I guess it happens during the pandemic that I said, there's something that I got an interest in. So, but I wanted to start building content. So basically in 2021, I blogged all that year and learned a few things. And just saying that, well, I want to step it up again for the 2021 and 2022. And we were introduced from a co-friend of mine that I met, a guy from Dallas. Just happened to just chop it up with one time. He said, "Yeah. I got a cousin that's doing podcasting in Virginia Beach." I said, "Virginia Beach? That this is my city. What you telling me from Dallas about Virginia Beach?" So I'm not sure how I reached out, and then I met you, and I told you that hey, I really appreciate what you're doing and all that kind of stuff, and you looked at me like
Yeah, that's how I do everybody though.
She was skeptical, and I just said, basically,
No, he wanted to be an intern. So start over. He said he wanted to be an intern.
To learn.
To learn. And so you're thinking an intern, oh my gosh, he wants to be an intern? This PhD wants to be an intern here? So, of course I had that eyebrow. I'm like, really? Well,
here's one thing, and one of the tips that I'll actually bring, because I do some mentoring also, is that sometimes young people always want to get paid for doing things and get paid to learn. And that's not really actually apprenticeship started off with you learning something from your parents, and basically you getting paid.
Right. You don't get paid at home.
So and basically the apprenticeship program, which is to me is one of the most educational things that we should do more of.
I agree.
Because and I share this with you, all your babies are not college material, and you should know that. And some of them don't have the desire to do that. Some of them have the desire to maybe have a career, but they don't want 4 years of academics. So apprenticeship, or actually learning a skill, is probably more beneficial to those who are not academically astute. And see how much money you're going to save and how much heartache you're going to save basically when they're on that 6 and 7 year program when they're supposed to been out in 4. So just that little tip.
Those career students.
Yeah. So that's just a sidebar. But my point is that I knew stewardship is that basically if you learn from taking mail around to different departments in any industry, you'll learn the industry from the ground up.
Right.
Most of your I guess successful people. I give you a case in point. I try to be relevant. P. Diddy Combs started out as an intern, and so he will know how to run a business.
Right.
That is one of the things that I wanted to share with you. That I wanted to learn from the ground up, and I didn't want to come in like I knew what I was doing, which I don't. Still learning, but my point is that
he's good.
I didn't want to overstate what I know about the industry and about the business. I wanted you to say I don't know nothing. So the little bit
So
that I do,
you learn from scratch, pretty much. I mean, and I feel like that's the way to do anything. Even if you are knowledgeable of something, why not sit back and just refresh? That's how I am. I'm like, well, you know what? Pretend I don't know anything, and just tell me what you know, because things have changed. The electronic has changed, and it's ongoing. It's evolving, right?
yes.
So there could be things that you don't know, and so I really, really appreciate his approach, and he did do a lot of trying to get our name out there, and he did do a lot, and he's still doing a lot for SKST. Well, actually, he's a part of SKST, so I mean, not only is he a podcaster, but he is actually a part of SKST, and he's very much appreciated.
So my show has evolved to the point right now that I started with having
Yes.
guests,
Uh-huh.
and then well, actually, God told me basically, I gave you this platform, and I gave you the material that I think you can speak directly to people who need what your services would provide, and the end game is actually to do a book at the end of all these podcasts, because here's the thing. I want the individual to be take control of their finances, which means that basically master your budget, which is your income and your expenses, and understand what is an asset and what is a liability, to a point where you accumulate enough money out of you push your emergency fund, and you push your savings, and you put your all those money that you have accumulated to a point where you need to talk to a financial advisor.
Mm-hmm.
When you talk to a financial advisor, I don't want you to stutter. I want you to be able to give him what is your legacy plan. So oftentimes it's almost like when you go to a doctor and you don't know, basically you just know, hey, I got a headache.
Mm-hmm.
And he starts breaking down these medical terms of what it can be. If you don't have the bedside manner to break those things down, to explain it to where you can actually understand it, then you still walk away off the office in the fog, just like you came in.
Yeah, you didn't get anything out of it.
So financially, I want you to be able to communicate with your financial advisor and tell him basically, this is why I make this decision doing this. Oftentimes, we are at the mercy of a financial advisor telling us what he wants to be done. And normally, I think episode like 16, I even talk about how the conversation with your financial advisor should be, which means that basically this is your money, and you're putting it in someone else's hand. Normally, it's a stranger. So, it's almost like you wouldn't meet a person on a date and get married the same day, which means, why would you meet a stranger and give him all your fortune?
Exactly.
Without asking him some questions about who he is, and whether he's a fiduciary, and or is he a salesman, which means that basically he's only going to sell you products that benefits him in the long run. So basically, I want to educate you to the point where you are in control of your finances. You know what your cash flow is, what's going in and what's going out. You're able to meet those your basic needs, and have money for I don't like to use the term rainy day or emergency, but basically that's pretty much what it is, because those expenses can actually knock your budget, put a hole in your budget, which means that basically then you have to worry about how you're going
to make it with this, how you're going to pay this bill, because you've had to use it for that. So.
Right. And the thing about it is, I want to work with you where you are, which means that basically if you're making 25, 30,000, 40,000, let's work out a plan that will work for you, that for basically now, because oftentimes, we are thrown in the deep end of the pool,
right?
Which means that basically we are not knowledgeable of how to use a credit card. And that's one of the things I talked about, I think in episode 6, is that basically there is you only should use 30% of
the card.
of the card, but nobody told me that.
Right. I learned it from you.
So basically, if you had a card worth $1,000 on it limit, and you should only use about 250 that you're going to pay off monthly. But if you go over that, that affects your credit score, which affects what you can do as far as buying insurance, your medical, where you're going to buy a house, where you finance your car. All these things are connected, which is the conversation that I didn't have, meaning that basically I wouldn't be as trifling with my credit card if I knew that that 10 years from now, the stuff that I did before was going to affect me now.
Right. Well, I think all of us is the same way, because even having parents that know how important it is for your child to go to college, they still struggle themselves because same situation. You have to break that cycle some sort of way. So maybe they were not taught, it was not instilled in them, but they learned some other kind of way that this is the next step for your child. So some people, well, a lot of families, they don't have that history of my child going to college like our counterparts. They all go, we all went to Spelman, we all went to, you have that, but then you have, well, my child went to community college 2 years. That's all we can afford. So it's a catch-22 either way it go, because $30,000 and $40,000 is nothing. And if you're struggling making $30,000, $40,000 a year, 55, the average household is making 55 a year, I think I read. And so what does that actually cover? I mean, because that's not even enough to cover a family of four. You know what I mean? So how do you save? How do you financially put money back when you really don't have anything to put back, because you're living from paycheck to paycheck? Even if you're not splurging and buying anything extra, 55 a year with single parent working, or even both parents combining that amount, it's still not enough.
Well, here's the thing. One of the things that you have to understand, basically your cash flow.
Okay.
So basically, but you got to get a control of it, which means that basically I use the 40, 30, 20, 10, which means that 40% is groceries, housing, gas. Those are things that basically they're going to come up every day, that just the cost of living. The 30% is the things that we want. And I encourage you to do 20% to pay off your debt and save, and then 10% as far as I tithe, but you can do donations or charity. But my point is that, do you understand where it's going now?
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. For the people that do understand where it's going and they still don't have it, how do they make it?
Very rarely do I find somebody who really understand that, has their budget down to where they understand it. Now, I may be wrong, but very rarely do a person who actually write it down understand what their monthly expenses are.
Because when you're preparing for retirement, you have to have that down pat, or you're not going to make it.
Well, there's a lot of people who are not prepared for retirement. There's a lot of people who are not saving, and that's my point. But they hadn't put it down in black and white. When you actually see it, where my income is, and actually the things that I'm spending money on. If you look at the things that you're actually spending money on, we can make that adjustment. So the things that I've said that 30%, those to me, sometimes you need to move those over to some of the needs expense and eliminate some of those wants.
Yeah.
So
but I do know people that don't indulge in wants because all they're making is their needs.
Do they have a budget is my question.
Well,
see, and that's the reason
they don't have a budget, because what they make, their paycheck is it. That's what I'm saying. So you it's like you're finding money somewhere that's not there. If I have $10,
okay,
and I'm just giving an example.
Sure.
If I have $10 and I have to pay every month the same bills,
Mhm.
my cell phone bill, my this bill, and my that bill. $10 is not enough. I'm saying probably bad example, but I'm saying all I know is I made that $10.
Right.
So I have to spend that $10 wisely because I know I'm not gonna get paid for another 2 weeks. So just say better example then $1,000.
Okay.
Okay, so my rent is $1,000. So I got every other payday. I have that extra $1,000, but it's not extra because I still have to pay. I pay my rent on one payday.
Mhm.
Then I'm having to make it to the next payday. Then the next payday, I have to pay for my utilities. I have to pay for my phone. I might need a new pair of shoes because I don't wore those other ones out. So I have to have clothing, and I have to make sure that I'm eating. I have to buy toiletries.
Mhm.
So that $1,000 don't go that far. So if I'm only making $2,000 a month, and I know people making $12 and $15, they're not making $1,000 every pay period. They're just not.
Right.
So how do they make it other than having to get on welfare? Because basically they go by your income, and I qualify for food stamps because I don't make enough money from my paycheck. So then they're looking at every penny you make.
Right.
So you can't even get a side hustle because if you do, they go cut your food stamps off. So how? I mean, it's just so hard for our people to make it.
Well, very rarely that I find somebody even in that situation who actually understands what money is going out. Now, I know basically right now you can get 30% off on your cable if you make a certain income. And if you're, I'm just going to throw this out there. If you're a grad student, you can get food stamps if you're going to school. So I had to really talk to that individual and see where they exactly are. Because here's the thing. Let's say that I have a college student. Well, the thing is that you can no longer support that college student. I can tell that college student there's some benefits that you can get because now that you're out of the house.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of things that we can do with that budget that would help you. One of the main thing that I want to share with you is that if you are part of a church,
Mm-hmm.
there's some benefits of being part of the church. On twice a month on Wednesday, we do fresh food giveaways.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, that can supplement your budget for your grocery. There's some we have a daycare. If you're a member, you can have a reduced daycare expense.
Mm-hmm.
See, there's a lot of things that if you come to me and say, hey, this is my situation, I got 2 kids here, I got this here,
Mm-hmm.
this is some amount of money, then I can individually show you there's some things that you can do.
But that's to sustain though.
What's that?
That's to sustain. That's not making extra money to put away though for the rainy day.
Okay, I would love to put $500 away. I would love to put $200. I would love to put $100. But as long as if I'm putting $20 away.
Well, 5, whatever you can put away.
Right. So my point is that the reason why we are probably kind of apathetic about our budget is because we don't see that we can actually have any kind of control over it. And I'm saying, do not despise small beginnings. When I work with you, I'm going to work with you, and we're going to have to do some homework, and we're going to have to list all this stuff down,
Mm-hmm.
and basically we can find where basically we can make the adjustments. Trust me, I grew up in poverty, so
Right.
And I know, many of you know how to make things work. So we do make things work, but at the end, we don't have a savings and we don't have a viable retirement plan. So what I would like to do is first get control of your budget. Then we can work on these, the emergency plan. Then we can work on the long term.
Gotcha.
So basically, what I really want to do is get you in a position where basically you understand how to use the credit card.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
let's say basically when you understand how to use the credit card, and I'm going to be real quick with this. Once you get your credit score over, let's say 650, then basically what I would do, and that might take 6 months to a year for you to get there. Then we apply for 2 credit cards, max maybe $1,000 each. What I would tell you is that is one of the things that you can use just in case something happened. Mm-hmm. That you can, you won't be out there, that if you need a hot water tank, or you need a transmission or something, that you won't completely shut down. Mm-hmm. And then we can work out how we can eliminate those debts.
Right. Okay, so Dr. Ron, we're gonna stop right here because it's time for my next show. But guys, this is somebody you need to know, and he needs to know you. Dr. Ron, tell people how to get in contact with you.
Well, you can contact me with here, SKST Gmail, SKST Radio.
Yeah, SKST Radio at gmail.com. Or you can book him at skstbooking@gmail.com if you want to get in contact with him. But he's the coach, the business coach, the financial coach. He is the person that can get you where you need to be gotten to. So until then, Dr. Ron, thank you so much, and congratulations for your 20th episode.
Yeah.
Yes. Very excited. Okay, guys, got to go from now until next week right here, SKST Radio, baby.